UbiSOFT really wanna blame gamers. You own nothing, sign this waiver. So diverse, say the white saviors. Kyle wrap it up, key leaf flavor. Identity politics inserted. Profit and interest diverted. Expectations subverted. They them shitted, her she squirted. Cock block, big titty women, whoa. Stock drop to a decade low. Brace for the piss like white snow. Bethesda knee keep taking arrow. Studio change names like Agender, Halo, Honk, Nose Flex, Rainbow Suspenders, Latinx slurs, LGB tormentor. You must be this black and gay to enter. Please be decent, boy sob. In between slurps on a soy knob. Somehow my fault you pop off the cob. Get comfortable not having a job. Hacking, coughing, and delay. Time for an apology, ukulele. UbiSOFT spies and sells all your data. You'll agree with me sooner or later. Stop at 5 or 6 stores or maybe just one. Say it is ma'am or he pull a gun. Canada, Ben and hubs pornographic. Booty hole brace for VPN traffic. There go the hustlers on a mountaintop. 2-week refunds, the comedy won't stop. 80+ million ugly misguided. Shroud chilled, the shutdown specter divided. Rivals Loki, OBS crashes, surpasses MGS, Psycho Mantis, race swap rehashes. Show us what trash is. Asians call dibs on Somali ashes. Vice City built by GTA fans. Take to make calls to cancel them plans. Kyle patch your cakes, call me Baker's man. Transition into woke era biggest fan. Secret hyena butter from an anal gland. Furry favorite Orville Redenbacher brand. When UbiSOFT dies by DEI grifters, handle them turds with gloves and a sifter. Hello, beta testers. Like, comment, subscribe, or join if you've had enough. You're probably not getting notified, you're getting unsubscribed, but if you're raising your voices, then you're helping make it a little too late for these entities. Did you hear Bobby Kotick is suing Kotaku and Go Media, which may result in loudmouth sex workers who can't keep the pee-pees out of their mouth being held accountable for the ongoing joke that they've been calling journalism. Marvel Rivals is getting sued as well by Jeff Strain, co-creator of State of Decay. Isn't that one of the games that ended up in a Kyle collage? You don't want to end up here. And I doubt this whole lawsuit is going anywhere, considering, as I wrote in a tweet, that stuff like this is coming for Inzoi too, as it did for Palworld, as it will for other games I speak on that appeal at a glance. Crazy the success you can manage simply giving players what they want instead of arguing with them. Lastly, and most arousing of all, UbiSOFT has assembled a crack team to silence any criticism that they will class as meanie-feeny bobini, which is done-goofed territory for the bully-hunting back tracers, and anything they don't like is evil, and you're gonna get sued and copyright struck. That's right. Got ya. So you better have only nice things to say. Look at this comment from some schmuck on the internet.
Someone close to the devs told me a month ago that the discourse has mentally affected them to the point where they are struggling with depression and relying on psychologists. I guess that it's easy to laugh at UbiSOFT because of the slap they've put out recently, but seeing actual regular developers and employees who are just following orders go through this is messed up. And it's not even just UbiSOFT, it goes for all studios. Of course, the usual people in the replies and grifters are celebrating and mocking this, which is about expected from them. They all see 19,000 developers as one single thing that should be grouped together.
Included is a picture with the finger. I have been told that developers find this climate of hatred stressful. Some have relied on psychologists to get through the period. Their period, menstruation, blood in my pussy. They really hit them with the just following orders, you know what I mean? I said, what if soft retardation syndrome was afflicting these people before the mean tourist chuds ever arrived? I'm just trying to get used to not owning what I buy out here and accept paying for pandering slop. You know, because people worked hard, and that's the measure of what a good product is, how hard you're telling us that you worked on it. So GDC welcomes the pariah, Kim Belair of Sweet Baby Inc., to remind everyone that they're actually racist, especially if they're not loving whatever Johnny Somali bullshit is going on, because if you don't like it, you are just a racist. That's pretty much how it goes. You got to be supportive, you got to be progressive. SBI gonna teach you that bashing women in the back of their head and they're crying about it, that's how you get the sympathy, and that's how you get your way, and you will terrify them until you can get your way. Watching apparent games journalists like IGN shill for AliExpress only to delete their post ices a cake of false accusations, tantrums over reality, and deliberate misinterpretations of how players feel. Of course, people hate them, and since it's all they can do for clicks, they're only gonna grow more bold in capturing people's attention again. So shout out to Jeff Keighley, who seems to prioritize the opinions of these asswipes over gamers. Not that we care about what, I guess, they mixing up, because whatever forgettable card game they choose is like something that should sweep the game awards is just going to be forgotten. Did I say that already? Yeah. What's the name of that game again? That's really the hallmark of these great games, is how quickly they can be forgotten, isn't it? It's impossible to get people to remember you, let alone play you. It's always the same DEI nonsense out of your fucking studio, and I again cheer and encourage you to continue to keep this up, because I know that the tantrums that are coming out of your failure will warm us like a fire on a cold night. If your heart was in this, the collapse would be something you'd smile in the midst of as you ride that ship into the fucking drink. But you mad because these were behaviors you hoped to force, like White Daddy Larry Fink. You know, White Daddy Larry Fink probably fucks a woman, right? Because he wants kids that only a woman could bear him. A biological woman, not whatever we call in a woman with a dick and balls these days, you know, and all of the hormone and all that bullshit, because they can, you know, inherit the wealth, the wealth that they would be born into, and get props like you to fight amongst yourselves, because it's not even for their amusement either. You dimwit, hollowed out nobodies are props in a fight amongst yourselves for the amusement of who? For the entertainment of who? Just make sure when you wage in your little revolution that you stay in the permitted arena that has been designated to you. Do not shatter that ceiling in a way where it trips the boundaries of the sandbox that you have been allotted. Because as I've mentioned, if you push outside of where you're supposed to be, you're going to get some pushback. Ubi's really putting the soft in UbiSOFT, scared enough to threaten to silence you in a sad effort to drive people talking about their game in the hopes of what? Further controversy, potentially selling their newest ass creep slop. But the normies are supposed to gobble this up, right? This is like a new Pokemon game, and there's not supposed to be a thought involved in them just scooping up the latest entry and consuming product, unless this black attack might eat into the appeal and therefore the sales of a game that audiences are probably regarding as yet another in a long series of preachy, out-of-touch propaganda, because I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm biggity black, and I'm black, y'all. It can't be overstated how pathetic, overpriced, and heavily funded this slop is, wasting millions for a lackluster product from identity politics warriors. Look at this. This is who they chose for the lady in the Assassin's Creed Shadows live action kind of advertisement for the game, and you can see, in my opinion, that they suffer from what we're going to be referring to as Bella Ramsey casting syndrome. It's at play everywhere in the woke era, but especially in the gaming space, because they need to, quote, challenge your beauty standards. So even though Kyle, with a beard longer than most of these numbnut whippersnappers, can claim to love a Deborah Wilson as she appeared on Mad TV or taking them pretty titties out to mock Drew Barrymore, the woke Deborah Wilson that we get to see included in these games is selected and prioritized because the identity entities around her class her as not too attractive. This is the same Witcher lady casting decision to avoid someone too pretty, in the direct words of this casting director. Sweet Baby Inc. game Unknown 9 with the bugs and the lazy copy and paste design and animation so bad you think you're watching Uzumaki episode 2. They chose this same person, and this is why. The Jamaican can wait for all of you to hear the same opinions out of some white boy's mouth before you feel comfortable enough and courageous to champion that opinion yourself. But the delusional transgender gaming journalist still begging people to buy Dragon Age, or what everyone clocks as allergic to the truth, enter reality. They're walking punchlines seeming to specialize exclusively in othering people, believing that they're an authority and telling you how to play the games that you own because of their mandatory ugly woman and everything agenda. I see them triggered by big breasts on a Lara Croft, and I can't help but laugh at them. And perhaps this is their best impression of a woman, as in their mind they are but a follower who can be tricked into anything enough people are doing, including but not limited to smearing their secretions on themselves to attract a man. But you need a pussy to do some shit like that, some animal shit like that. To internet longbeards like me, this is no different than shaving your head for Bieber or microwaving a phone in the hopes of charging it. Did the shilling save Dragon Age? No. Will rewriting history with dead studios save you from a future as ugly as your reflection? No. What we know is the meltdowns have only just begun. They've only just begun because you targeted the mythical modern audience, and now you believe that fake people are targeting you. This isn't about you. It's bigger than you, but everything's about you. Narcissist. And the audience you targeted is just like you. And in the same way you're too busy online arguing with people to make a good game, the people that you wish would buy yours are too busy keying cars or advocating for violence. Their money is too valuable to spend on your slop when they need it for hormones or whatever they want to distribute to kids somewhere behind the backs of their parents. Listen, it's drying up. The funding. Maybe the name calling will work this time, though, right? Beta tester. If you're anything like me, all you're thinking about is when Stellar Blade's going to come out, and they're going to mod the hot girls into that game. It'll be a countdown to our favorite femme fatales being added in. Not the bitchy girl boss, ball-headed, flat-chested characters. There's not going to be a rush for that. The data will show how unpopular that is. It'll tell a story. Watching the West nerf even female walk animations guarantees woke game studio closures amidst record-breaking revenue in free jiggle physics PNG games, Dragon Riding Combat and Crimson Desert, unnecessary yet better customization in Mecha Break than in queer-led RPGs. You represented to death. These ignorant puppets claim they hate white men, but let Larry Fink bend them over and it's hilariously transparent as Mr. Burns using Elisa Simpson, and it's probably the perfect analogy for some of the cocksuckers in these studios, because that's all you are. Smart and an articulate entity in the specific scenarios that you're in, but maybe you're no more than the smartest Simpson. What you regard as your heart can be in the right place, and you can still be the instrument of ruin. But for many of you, ruin is precisely the intent. I never surrendered an inch in allowing these entities to gaslight me. My eyes are functional. Ugly DEI designs in woke games habitually cross a line so hard that even Gaming Circle Jerk agrees that what you're doing should harm profit. And as the losers say, I'm so here for it. More pronouns, just to make the chuds seethe, right? Oh no! Your game studios is closing? We told you. Oh no, your friends' games are getting canceled? We told you. Oh man, you're struggling for 1,000 players, most of which are probably your people fluffing up these numbers. We told you, but you don't listen. So we're done engaging with you, disingenuous and demented psychopaths. This is how vampires are allowed to look in yet another... It's crafted with unnecessary restriction imposed by losers desperate to send a message instead of making a good game. People ask how I can see that a game is woke at a glance. It's because when enough chefs of the dyed hair and pierced nose variety are involved, they take it further away from pretty. The concepts don't typically start like this unless the woke artists, much like Concord, were who they hired to start with. We'd all have better odds of explaining the issues to a bottle of hot sauce than getting these entities to see reason. So with the shit that they've put out, I'm really just done giving it air. You know what I mean? Why do you let Jeff Keighley waste your time with this cancer that obviously didn't pay as much to be included? It was selected. Just like the juries of irrelevant games journalists who lie, steal, and universally are despised by gamers. Jeff Keighley and his bitch ass needs to be told what to believe. Whatever's filling up that purse of his, you know what I'm saying? He would vote Armored Core 4 because it's not what everybody is paying him to say that he likes. Hatred isn't brewing here. In my observation, it is long manifest, and it's only becoming a little bit more justified. So people are getting loud about it. The continued deliberate misinterpretation of reality has never been as blatant as everyone setting their watches to journalists saying the opposite of how players feel. AI is doing better, and AI has done better than the majority of these almost people. And much like a person waiting in the drive-thru for what's supposed to be fast food, they don't care what robot is mixing it up if they get their food in a timely manner. And it's a correct order. One thing woke has done has awoken people with eyes and ears that don't lie. The gaslighting is inviting people to prove their point, some of which have much more time, dedication, and a little bit of autism, if I'm being honest, to really shove it right back up there. Right back up their ass. Right back up their ass. Right back up their ass. Right back up the ass, shove that comment right back up your ass. Right back up your ass. Right back up your ass, shove it right back up. Shove it right back up your ass. Take that comment and grip it and shove it right up your ass.
Need to get rid of all of these kind of like sexless characters and just make them nice to look at, you know?
I've been saying this.
Yep. They must look at the mods and go like, most popular. Oh. We will not do that.
Team of interesting and endearing companions, of complex, memorable, likable, distinct personalities from across Thetis. I was very pleased with the character designs too. The armor and outfits are fabulous. I spent more than an hour in the character creator. This might be some of the best looking hair I've ever seen in a video game. As a non-binary person myself, Veilguard includes some of the most authentic representation of gender stuff, and having to navigate your family's reaction to it. It doesn't feel like an after-school special or like I'm being pandered to. Finding out that the writer for this character is non-binary themselves did not surprise me at all. If we never get another Dragon Age, at least it got to go out on a high note.
That was IGN's non-binary journalist giving the non-binary writer-led Dragon Age Veilguard a 9 out of 10. IGN has just rated Assassin's Creed Shadows an 8 out of 10. And Dragon Age the Veilguard is currently being given away for free and is still, in fact, failing to generate any interest because of how woke it exposed itself to be to the overwhelmingly disinterested gamers looking for an escape, not a lecture, in their games. This user says that Yasuke is not fun, to which I'm of course reminded of Reggie's quote, "If it's not fun, why bother?" Right now, the typical shills are parroting the same return to form thing they did with Dragon Age, and that didn't survive months before being given away. Credibility doesn't matter anymore to these people, but all I hope to represent for you is someone who you can feel is telling you the truth about how I feel. I haven't said anything about Rachel Zegler up until this point, and it's because I wanted to summarize how I feel with this image, which on its own is nothing. Could just be some podunk, nowhere theater, bad time, etc. But what you have to trust is someone that, when you can tell they're not joking, you understand wouldn't just be showing you something for no reason. To anyone who got lost and ended up here, accept my apology for my long-winded, cathartic ramble as I answered the question, why do I love Rachel Zegler and UbiSOFT? They both had a colossal part to play in expediting the end of this woke era. Do not condense their damage to something less than like a Concord or maybe MCU Girl Boss and Star Wars stuff. The delays for Snow White and Assassin's Creed Shadows have made it something supercharged. Disney has its cancerous LGBT kid-centric agenda, and Ubisoft has obnoxiously aggressive DEI foolishness that surpassed run-of-the-mill barnyard ignorance and graduated clean into sabotage. Most of us are forced to assume you can't accidentally become the best example of representation by wounding yourself onto death. But here we are. Somehow, you're willing the pendulum back at such a frightening speed that it will cleave anything the wind from it touches in twain. You refuse to move? Okay. You know, you're a lost cause. People are done trying to help. It'd be a waste of time. And it's become so painful to behold that a celebration now spontaneously erupts at the thought of an era without you. You're not the only, but you're now the worst. Paying for people to lie on your behalf. We are all aware, exchanged money for favors, exchanged favors for power is the way of the world. But there's no effort to conceal your sickness. And the service that people are paying for is not being rendered. They are owed, and they'll claim one way or another. Good luck to Disney and UbiSOFT. But a thank you to Assassin's Creed Shadows and Rachel Zegler. I raise a lone pom-pom high and I shake it. Not like a Polaroid picture, despite the lyrics of an Outkast song. This is not what is suggested with a Polaroid. I instead shake my pom-pom with the vigor and determination of my hand shaft gripped, enjoying the bountiful bosom of a busty beta tester. 21 freaking minutes. My Streamlabs donation link is right below. If a single one of you donates telling me whether I should play Assassin's Creed Shadows or Xenoblade Chronicles X, I'll do it. The choice is y'all's. To the sponsors and patrons, I love you. I want to go harder, but, you know, I feel like I'm waiting on you guys and your go ahead. I don't know how much you can even handle.